Well, folks, I've not weighed in on this issue for a little bit. I did post a Twitter comment, an X comment. Sorry, I still can't get around to calling it X. It sounds like an OnlyFans site. But I did get around to posting a Twitter comment when it first broke in the story, yesterday, I believe it was, about Kyle Cowan running a story exposing, doxing the name purportedly behind the Twitter boss account. With investigative journalism, obviously dealing the most important topics in all of South Africa. But a funny thing happened on the way to the forum. Kyle Cowan may have committed crimes. That's up for the authorities to decide. But according to Kyle Cowan in News24, an influential anonymous right-wing X account posting racist tropes and promoting selective views that have reinforced misinformation about South Africa in the eyes of U.S. President Donald Trump and his billionaire donor Elon Musk has been unmasked. Now, my question to Mr. Cowan is, how exactly do you have information confirming that that Twitter account has anything to do with Donald Trump's views in the world? Do you have evidence of that? If you do, that's great. If you have a source, that's your journalistic prerogative not to share it, but you're just making an unfounded claim based on your opinion, which is worth about as much as everyone else's opinion. Racist? Rude, perhaps, the account is, but only an aggrieved leftist crybaby would see that account as racist. As far as selective views, I point you to Kyle Cowan's article on News24, the link which you'll find below this video. Now, according to Kyle, a News24 investigation has revealed the account Boer at Twatterboss is run by Sebastian Justa. Oh no! A 46-year-old former farmer who for the past year has pretended to still be a farmer while running a 4-star guest house in Gordons Bay near Cape Town. Now, a few comments about that. I'm a farmer. I was a dairy farmer as a teenager, ran a dairy in Appalachia. And now I'm a beekeeper, which is also a sort of farming. But for the 30 or 40 years in between, I didn't farm. That didn't mean I wasn't a farmer. So if you're a former president, you don't have the title president. If you're a former member of parliament, are you no longer called, the honorable? Of course you're called that. You may no longer be farming. That doesn't mean you're not a farmer. That's ridiculous. So if you're a farmer and you're in a tragic car accident and you spend 6 months in hospital, are you no longer a farmer? What an asinine claim. This is the cherry picking, the nitpicking, the garbage of leftists and what they do to try to denigrate people and pretend that they're not what they say they are. The gentleman was a farmer, and as he details in the story in great detail, he was been a farmer till very recently, so he's still a farmer. Get over yourself, Kyle. So that's what he says about Sebastian Justa. He's a former farmer and runs a guest house near Gordons Bay, or in Gordons Bay. And Kyle Cowan is a dishonest so-called journalist who resides on the News24 platform where he cherry picks information to craft a false narrative to influence rubes. Well, there we go. Accuracy with no effort to illegally harm Kyle Cowan. That's what adults do, Kyle. They don't dox people. There's a reason the gentleman had a private account, because there are people with malicious intent. And you know that full well. That's why you doxed him. Now, he says a detailed analysis revealed nearly 300 interactions between Just and Musk since June of 2024. With Just addressing and reposting Musk 274 times. I've probably reposted Elon Musk 274 times since last year. Hardly a right-wing secret account. In turn, Musk has interacted with Just's Twatterboss account 20 times. Oh my, lions and tigers and bears, oh my, lions and tigers and bears, oh my. Folks, Trump is not making decisions from Twatterboss. He is informed by the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the Department of Energy, the Department of State, the National Security Agency, and a host of other informed sources. He doesn't rely on Twatterboss for his decision-making. Now, he says, since the start of the second term, Trump has singled South Africa out for direct criticism and action, cutting off funding and claiming without substantiation that the government was treating Afrikaner people very badly. Without substantiation, I'm sorry, Kyle, have you not researched the 100-plus racist laws that discriminate against white South Africans? Have you forgotten the tourism relief fund during the COVID scam that intentionally denied tourism relief funds but shut down the businesses of whites, Indians, and coloreds? What part of the galaxy are you residing there, Kyle? Without substantiation? That's just propaganda and lies. I mean, folks, what planet do these lazy journalists reside upon? singled out South Africa. What a crock. What a steaming pile of lies. Trump has threatened, with desired results, invading and annexing Greenland, occupying the Panama Canal, and raising tariffs against Colombia, week by week. All of those threats were effective. But what has Trump done to South Africa? A serial violator of the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, a country that does not follow its adherence to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in protecting private property rights. Expropriation without compensation is proof of that. It's now the law. And Cyril Ramaphosa has promised to expropriate abandoned buildings in the central business district of Johannesburg. I thought this was about farmland. It's not. It's about control. But South Africa is a serial violator of the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act and therefore should have been kicked out of it in 2018. But no one kicked it out, neither Trump, nor Biden, nor Trump again. What has Trump done to South Africa? Cut off free money, grant money? Well, Kyle, that's our money. Taxpayer. I pay for that, not you. So you can shut up. You have no say in this. That's our money. We don't have to give it to people who act against our national interests. It's pretty simple and straightforward. Stop misleading your viewers. South Africa is largely getting a free pass for now. Trump has done nothing to South Africa. There are no embargoes. There are no prohibitions on Americans doing any business here. No application of the Magnitsky Act, which could be done like that to harm South Africa. No blockade of your ports. No one's been cut out of the Swiss banking system. No targeted sanctions against political leaders or members of the government. So what has Trump done to South Africa? Jack squat, Kyle. Stop lying. You're as bad as the professor from Stellenbosch who claimed there were sanctions in South Africa. There are no sanctions in South Africa. But keep it up. Anything can happen. He continues. He has highlighted the Expropriation Act, falsely claiming that land was being seized, and also offered Afrikaners refugee status. Trump also highlighted South Africa's diplomatic relations with Iran and China and cited the country's genocide case against Israel at the International Criminal Court. That's true. Here, Kyle also makes a false statement. Land is being seized. South African Broadcasting Corporation itself covered the land occupations and seizures in Shisheho, a suburb of Polokwane, formerly Petersburg, in Limpopo province, formerly the Northern Transvaal. That's been covered, as have the land seizures near East London and in Northwest Province. All have occurred since Ramaphosa signed the Expropriation and Compensation Act. What Kyle doesn't state is the government isn't seizing land. Not yet. Cyril promised to take buildings in Joburg, just a matter of time before that happens, unless he was lying to the public. Why would Cyril lie? He said Joburg's a mess. We need to take these buildings and expropriate them. The government may not be seizing land, but people are seizing land, emboldened by Ramaphosa signing a piece of unconstitutional legislation. Then he continues, Trump's Republican Party has also called for a review of South Africa's membership of AGOA, the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, a preferential trade mechanism. That's utter nonsense, Kyle. You're simply lying once again. This is a lie by omission. It's a bipartisan effort, and it long predates Donald Trump. An honest journalist would state accurately that on the 6th of February 2024, during the Biden administration, a bipartisan group of Democrats and Republicans in the House of Representatives introduced legislation to do exactly what Representative Ronnie Jackson of Texas has recently done, and that is to review the relationship with South Africa with a view towards adjusting our foreign aid and putting sanctions against leaders of South Africa's government for their actions against America's national interest. This isn't new. It appeared during the Biden administration. It just died in Congress. That's genuine journalism. That's genuine research. That's honesty in reporting. Yes, this measure is being led by Republicans, but that's because Republicans are leading the government. They control the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, and the presidency. So the minority party wouldn't be the one pushing this normally because their legislation wouldn't get through. Do you think that in opposition, MK introducing a bill will get approved in Parliament? Highly unlikely. So very dishonest there again. Then he says, an analysis of Eusta's post has revealed problematic posts that can be viewed as racist and containing hate speech. Gosh, that sounds exactly like what one could claim regarding plenty of News24's content. No, folks? Yeah, a lot of News24's content be considered the exact same thing, promoting racism. Some of the things they say. I mean, many people say that. I don't know if that's true. What do you think? Now, folks, doxing a person is only done to harm them or to encourage people to harm them in employment or in some other way, including physically. The Twatterboss account has committed no crimes. is not the subject of any criminal investigation that's publicly known, and contrary to little Kyle's assertions, is not influential in the halls of the White House. Using the power of the press to target private citizens should be a criminal act, and certainly raises questions about aggregating publicly available information under the guise of freedom of the press to injure a private citizen. Be honest, folks. Cowan's investigative report is not intended to change anything other than to cow Mr. Yusta into silence, because his tweets are hurting the feelings of someone in the media. Now, perhaps Kyle should devote his attention to illicit tenders, why there's no water in Grahamstown for years now, why no criminal charges have been filed in the Digital Vibes case against Dr. William Kesey, or in the Pala Pala case against President Ramaphosa, or where South Africa's strategic oil reserves were sold off to in the dark of night. Or perhaps, if he's obsessed with Trump, do an investigative report on the impact of Trump freezing foreign aid and how it's impacted people here in South Africa, particularly those with HIV. That might be of interest to the public. But this whole thing is clearly an effort to dox Mr. Yusta. And their feelings are hurt because they say Yusta lied to them. Well, why would you tell a reporter who intends to harm you the truth? Simply tell him to foot-sec. This is a misuse of the press, and I wonder if someone will take News24 to the press ombudsman for this. Just a thought. They joined it voluntarily. They agreed to uphold the standards of it. This clearly doesn't uphold the standards of the press code. You don't misuse the press to harm someone. The man has committed no crime. You just don't like what he has to say. Shame on you. What say you, South Africa, South Africa, Mzansi? World, this is scary totalitarian activity by a private actor, the press. What are your thoughts? Cheers.